Mihai has some microphone issues, so he needs to change his.
In the meantime, enjoy the music, guys.
And in the meantime, if you have any more questions, just drop it below. Today it will be more about Q&A, and we will try to answer all of your questions.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going, guys?
Eddie, I was wondering, can we record this session?
Question is valid. I think we can.
Yeah, because I think other validators will miss this session and they might want to.
Yep, I'm
see
doing it. I'm recording.
1 second.
Definitely. Maybe I think also from our side, Radu, I'm not sure if he's here. Yeah, I see he's here. I think
Can you
Radu
hear me?
was previously recording it as well.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear. Also, I just got a note that it's already recording by Radu, so we have this rolling as well. Awesome. Welcome, Adi.
Okay, I think we can start, right? We have 6 speakers and an audience of 53, so welcome everyone. It's been a crazy month after X Day. How many of you have been at X Day from the audience? I don't know how you signal this from Discord. I've
Raising
seen
hands.
quite a few of you at X Day. Crazy experience. Only the second one. But of course, it took everyone some time to recover after the experience because it was pretty intense, and not also at night. We've had some wonderful talks, and I came back really charged after the X days. So I came so charged that I had to take a surgery on my left knee, which is good. I'm recovering now. All on the bright side. But let's move straight into today's topic. This session will not have a presentation like before. Previous sessions we had the team join with presentations of what has been done and what they're working on and stuff. We know most of the things that they are working on, so we wanted to make this session about staking phase 4. So I asked many of you, those that I could reach in private, 3 questions, and Mihai also asked you these questions. Like, what kind of doubts do you have regarding staking phase 4? What would you like to see in the staking ecosystem, and what would you like to know more about or understand more about? So I have some feedback already. So the proposal was to start with the feedback I have and ask the guys from the team to answer some questions. And if further questions are raised, you can drop them in the chat, and we'll make sure to add them to the list of questions. So, or feel free to request to speak, and you can be invited on the stage and ask directly. I think this will be even better. Don't be shy. Okay, so let's start. One question that has been repeated many times from your questions is, can we have a roadmap for staking phase 4? So I'm going to start with this one. So from the team, maybe Julian, can you take this one? Or
Yep. Right now we are a little bit delayed and a little bit stuck with RCV 1.6. As you all know, it's been quite a delay because we found issues that we wanted to have them fixed. So the staking phase 4 that will be part of the RCV 1.7 is derived from RCV 1.6. So we need to have it, the RCV 1.6, we need to have it released. And what we were thinking is that the initial testing, because we will start rolling out the testing on the public testnet as always, we were thinking that, I don't know, at the end of January, maybe we will have something ready for the staking phase 4 to play around on the testnet, because we will also need to develop some API changes, some web wallet changes in order, and Explorer, of course, in order to better see and better measure the all the parameters for the staking phase 4, and those things cannot be made by night usually, and we will require some time there also. So tentative timeline for starting the testing is late January, and depending on the testing, we will see how long it will take to actually roll out this release. And I think I've answered your question.
that's cool. I want to remind you, this is being recorded.
Definitely,
You mentioned
definitely.
January.
Of course, of course.
We'll
Okay.
do our best. Maybe just to to jump in. Maybe just to give some context here. The complexity of the V1.6 first, which kind of got us delayed, is a very productive delay, such that security first. I cannot stress this, how complex the architecture is at the moment, and how many things should be taken care of and make sure to the highest confidence level of every line or every feature that we're planning to deploy and roll out into production. So the release itself has been on freeze for quite some time. Have not been adding any features for a very long time, I think already. And then with respect to that, to the testing phase, there are incredible amount of efforts and concerns as well to be considered whenever we feel the next release is confident enough for us to go into production. So maybe this is just a bit more context when it comes to the delay that we're facing. And then with the same thoughts in mind, also when it comes to the newer version of staking phase 4, that's as well at the same level considered that it should have 0 bugs in it. And as we already been used to, the staking module inside the protocol has been perhaps the most secure module to earn and participate into the network ever since Genesis. So yeah, I think that's a bit more context on how much effort is going to be, or what are we doing in the meantime in this time frame with respect to the engineering efforts. And not only, of course, there are in the meantime there's also the planning and the efforts of parallel development of the upcoming releases already. But I won't go into the next ones. We'll stick to the first ones, and I hope this gives a bit more clarity.
Okay, moving along. I'm not gonna ask only difficult questions and long answer questions at first. I'm going to combine them so that we have different flavors of answers. Next question. I would like to understand more about multi-key, maximum number of BLS keys, real limits, not theoretical limits. And I will maybe tie this to the question that is in the chat. Specs will change in 2024.
I think I can get this one. Yeah, the real limits when it comes to the number of BLS is purely on the CPU power, because the observer is a type of observer. Actually, it's a hybrid between the validator and the observer, that node that can handle multiple keys. Is already doing what an observer or validator do. So it processes blocks and stores everything on disk and do all the usual stuff. But in addition to what an observer does is that it consumes CPU to generate signatures. So being said, by having a lot of BLS keys, your CPU will be more stressed to sign more parts of the block and send them through peer-to-peer. So we have made some tests in extreme scenarios. One node can handle, I don't know, up to 800 BLS keys, but that won't happen in the production environment for some very big security concerns. And we recommended that multi-key squad should handle around 50 keys maximum. There is no limit, because any limit we put in the code can be bypassed very easily with a set command, and you can build your node with that. But we are making this as a recommendation, as a hard recommendation, and each of you will decide how many keys you will want to be handled by a multi-key squad. So the recommendation is around 50 keys. In extreme scenarios, it can go up to 800 keys, no problem, but we strongly do not recommend that. And regarding the second part of the question, will the specs change? Not from the multi-key perspective will change, because the 4 cores and 8 gigabytes of RAM will suffice for the multi-key squad nodes. But we are taking into consideration if we will add some optimization, and we are working on this. We are thinking changing the specs, hiring them a little bit in order to make the node more performant, how to say it, more able to do many more stuff.
If I just may add a little bit on this, mostly in regards to the parallel processing, which we've started working on, that would be the main feature where we would need to increase the specs in order to process even more for the same block. So if we have more CPUs, we could parallelize even more inside the node. This would be the main reason. We'll see if we need to. I would expect that 8 CPUs in the future, when we have this ready, would probably be the new recommendation.
Okay. Again, if you guys want to ask a follow-up questions on any of the answers, just raise your hands, get on the stage, and ask a follow-up questions. It's a lot easier when there's follow-up questions to be asked straight after the answer. Right. So moving along, I see the chat is busy. Robert is firing answers. Let's see. I'm gonna combine another 2 questions. How does the new queuing system work? The answer to this, the short answer is there will be no queuing system. It's going to be an auction. And a follow-up question is anything changing in the algorithm of selecting the eligible nodes per epoch?
I can take this. So the eligible nodes are being selected exactly the same as they were. I think for those of you who were to in our previous, I think it was the previous meeting, validator session, where we had the infographic from Puset. I think with that in mind, you will see that nothing changes from moving out of the waiting list into eligible. So the system behaves exactly the same as it is behaving right now. The only change is when your nodes get shuffled out, they do not directly go into a waiting list of a shard, but go to the auction list, and only the nodes that get selected, so the topmost nodes, depending on their top up, selected from the auction, will get to the waiting list. And then between the waiting list and the eligible list, everything is exactly the same as it was before.
Okay. Next question. Actually, I have. Okay. Will a top up affect staking provider rewards in staking phase 4? I'm not sure I understand this one.
Actually, the
I think is will top up affect, well, not a top up. Will top up affect staking provider rewards in staking phase 4?
the reward system that does not change from the current model to the staking phase model. So as the only thing that it changes whether how many of your nodes are selected from the auction to the waiting list, but the actual rewards will remain the same and are according to the same algorithm, the same code as it was before. Rewards V2, as we call it inside the team, and it is in the code. It haven't been changed.
Okay. Okay, I have more than one person asking for complete specs of staking phase 4 as they are now, somewhere written. Do we have something like that? Can we have something like that?
I think we do have something. We'll see if we need to arrange it to be more like a specs. I think it was more a documentation of the proposal, not a real spec. So it was easier to digest. It was in the format of our docs, docs.multiversx.com. And I think it's even on a branch right now that can go into the docs. We'll get data from there and we'll let's say polish it a bit, and then we can give you guys access also to some documentation.
I think maybe the better approach here would be to post it on Agora and really ask everybody who has a better option, a better proposal. Hey, you guys are doing this wrong. My math is telling me that this should be that, or the other one should be different. So everybody can contribute, but the place to do this is actually Agora, and we need to get involved more and more and more and more. I know this is something new. I know it's maybe not as fast as Telegram, where you ask a message, something you say, "Hey, this is down," or "I need this many X eagles," right? And you get an answer like that. Agora is maybe more slower because people need to digest the information and then come up with arguments and post there. But it's a very good framework for making these decisions, and these are very important decisions for the protocol, for the ecosystem. So uh, maybe an Agora post on staking phase 4, and we can debate there. On Telegram, messages come and go, so you don't have the actual context. But Agora, I think, is maybe a good place to share all this information. Right.
Definitely. Just to add on that, we'll definitely try to come up with the post on Agora with summarize. Maybe also very very important that looking up front at the next steps is we need to when it comes to Agora to each of us as staking provider or infrastructure provider try to push and broadcast the upcoming changes and educate the community if there's something that relates to them, such that this is a training on getting them on board with the upcoming proposals that will try to incorporate everybody's or the best of the network and also best of validators when it comes to staking phase 4. So the best time to start that is now. Of course, try to get and then work into your frameworks, into your procedures, the community to be taken in, and basically make them vote or help them vote into what's best for the network. And then also, I think the common sense would be that moving forward, even with staking phase 4, around the entire specs that are proposed should be an open discussion, which is happening starting now already, and then should be extended to Agora as Eddie mentioned, and then with that, once we concluded the specs and the final touches, the final changes, then that's what should go up into production.
Cool.
Yep.
Thanks for that, Lucian. Actually, I was gonna make a call to action in this call, and maybe I'm not gonna wait to the end of the call. Maybe I'm just gonna do it now. Actually, we have an ongoing voting on the protocol update, and the participation, of course, is relatively low because this is the first protocol vote, and people need to get educated on this. They need to know the importance of participating in the governance of this blockchain. So maybe if everybody in this session, over 60 people in here, if we all make a joint effort and communicate with our communities, hey, let's this is being voted, let's make an effort and just simply vote. Things can look different on the quorum, and I think once the first vote is in and the first decision is made on chain, the next one will be easier, and the next one will be easier and easier and easier. So maybe make a note, because if you're like me, you forget easily. Make a note to make a Twitter announcement or Telegram announcement or Facebook or whatever communities you use to reach your delegators, to ask them to please vote, and maybe explain what is being voted, and quick link to the governance site, so people can easily click, they know what's there, and vote. Okay, moving to the next question. We have a question here saying, can we have auto deploy nodes with web wallet front end to allow big investors without tech knowledge to run nodes on Amazon, Google, etc.? Who wants to take this one?
Yeah. Can I take it? Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. I do believe that there are two parts. So just to define the problem, the specific of the problems, one is the entire flow of deploying or having access to a wallet, external owned account, and then basically with that you define or you stake the BLS key and so forth. So that's with that, basically when it comes to just the configuration, initial configuration of the protocol or participation in related to that BLS key, that's actually where the process stops. If I understood correctly, basically extrapolating from what we have today, we do have several staking provider, or no, several integrations on the pipeline, part of them already being live with cloud providers, right? I think that's Google, Amazon, Tencent Cloud, and a couple of more. And then if I understood correctly, there should be some sort of a template validator which would help everybody to just connect their each cloud provider account to be self-hosted, and then try to have a communication channel over an API standardized for any of those cloud providers. Well, yeah, that is doable. Basically, just defining that by having this kind of templating could be doable. However, the question is, do we want this kind of do we think that is helpful for the entire community to be or take such a responsibility, locking funds, and also maybe accepting delegation, others people money to secure the network, where this kind of at least minimum minimum access and control over the work that is being done by the validator nodes or by the client, without having this into consideration. From my perspective, I don't think that even if our best effort is continuously to make the easier or a much easier process such that everybody can participate in the consensus, I don't believe, for example, that the security part can be also considered at the same level as just the operational part. So, and when it comes to security and cloud security and so forth, I do believe that this is an understatement, or not considered what's happening nowadays actually over the internet. I'm curious. I will let also my colleague to speak. However, I do believe that especially there is too less respect maybe for the professional staking provider that is being able to monitor, alert, target, or reach to us whenever there's an incident or something small that is being noticed that is not working right. So on the one hand, we do our best to bring everybody and provide a bugless errorless software that is contributing to the greater good. However, on the other side, we do want experienced people to at least put some sort of effort or at least tooling around this kind of infrastructure or operation that will help everybody and contribute. It should not be one-sided effort. Yeah, I think that this is my take on looking maybe, decentralization is key, but maybe also looking at, for example, Ethereum community and so forth. I do believe that if we looked at the biggest staking providers and so forth, yeah, they are growing and they're big and so forth, but those are the big bets. People are betting on especially on the infrastructure that those companies are running, and not only by executing a binary software or a binary or a client, but rather coming and actively contributing to the network, and with the most knowledgeable know-how, being able to support the entire operations of such a protocol. This is where also the effort should be rewarded towards. And I'll close with this. I think it sends the message. Um, I think we had just to maybe, and then I'll close the loop. If we look back at the Battle of Nodes, very early prior to the mainnet, we even had an auto deployer actually, where we did this kind of stuff on autopilot for the entire community, because we had such a high number or high intensity release schedule. I think even there were days where we had 2 releases prior to mainnet on a on daily basis that we wanted to push out, which basically could not be performed in time with the entire global network. However, we're doing this kind of calls to prepare everybody, take everybody on board, look forward exactly at the outlook of the protocol, and then with that in mind, also try to specialize and build some sort of knowledge around this kind of features. Not do this on autopilot, which will actually translate pretty much the question to, stake it, and well, if everybody's being able to do it, why not let them do it? uh,
Uh,
I think
what I
this gives a bit more context.
just two thoughts. What I want to add to what Lucian said is just remember the last bug we found on the mainnet 2 weeks ago, the one that was fixed with V15 that affected the nodes on shard 2. Just imagine that all the validators were businessmen that didn't care about nodes that join the shard, that doing the sync and all the stuff that you guys monitor continuously, and I'm very grateful for that. And do you regular ping us on Telegram? Hey, that doesn't work very good. Hey, something happened on this node on this occasion. We analyzed the log, and so on. Just imagine what kind of disruption would the chain suffered if there were only businessmen at the buttons for controlling the nodes. So yeah, I'm fully agree that we need specialized people, we need trained people, we need very good staking providers and node operators in the end that should do their job and their part securing the chain.
100% also wanted to just personally say thank you for everybody that is still with us and is still participating as a staking provider ever since Genesis, and is still sending us logs or at least some errors and not running on autopilot. Highly appreciated that. Each of you guys that are running actively and sending your notifications to us, whatever your servers are doing or trying to cry about. Highly appreciated again.
Okay. Moving along, there are quite a few that want to know more about sovereign shards and validating in sovereign shards. And maybe a quick overview of how sovereign shards will work and how will it tie into the main chain. And on a note on that, also from Drew, is creating pools of waiting validators that can service X sovereign shards? An idea.
I quite like the idea that you as validators and all those who are professional services want to join the sovereign shards as well. This would be the idea. Because this is how you can actually, let's say, by your presence on that sovereign shard, you will show that you appreciate that project and you offer security, and others, users, will be able to, let's say, securely use that sovereign shards because you, as a validator who've been here in the MultiversX ecosystem for a long period of time, you have a lot of stake, you have an ongoing community, an ongoing staking provider on the big ecosystem, you are running the sovereign shard. So I think this is like something of a must for every project who wants to build, who will build sovereign shards, is to contact validators, staking providers from the main chain to make them help to secure their own systems. Because this is how, let's say, we could have somewhat shared security of sort, not coded, but social shared security, which is quite good as well. On sovereign shards, what we want to do is that everybody who launches a sovereign shard will have to create his own custom configuration, how many nodes he wants, and what kind of tokens that those nodes should stake. It can add to for those nodes to have staked eGold as well and other tokens as well. And if the if they choose to add staked eGold as well, and I hope they will do it because that would be the common way to go, then the validators will earn yield actually from the staking system from the main chain, while they'll still be validating on the sovereign shards as well. Sovereign shards will have all the features of the main chain, so they can have staking phase 4, but they can run in other type of, let's say, a little bit closed environments like 20 nodes or 100 nodes, which are not selected automatically, but it's based on a whitelist or based on other things. They can do that, and they can offer actually more, and they should offer more rewards for those who run those uh, those nodes on the sovereign part. What will happen actually is that there will be a smart contract where all the validators will be able to pre-register, and then projects to choose nodes or validators from there, or validators to choose project as well. So in both ways, in this direction. And one of the things you have to make sure when you validate on sovereign node is that you will need actual hot wallet with eGold, as you will for all the outgoing transactions which are going from the sovereign to the main chain. But this kind of outgoing transaction can be taxed. So this kind of tax will be on the bridge part, where I imagine that every outgoing operation will have some sort of tax in order for the validators to get those small fees about which they do for the processing of those outgoing transactions. In the rest, it will be up to the choice for every project to create their own economies. We will suggest some of those economies to work with wrapped GLD if they don't need necessarily a base token or a new gas token, but they can choose to have that as well. And by the participation from the big providers, we can ensure, or you can ensure, that those products are well fit into the ecosystem, and they are, let's say, the the latest, not the latest, the end goal is for sovereign shards to be just, let's say, just another shard, just another custom shard. That's what the users and the developers will feel because there will be like cross chain, cross shard interoperability and composability. So I think this is all. We are quite not necessarily far, but we have a working product with sovereign shards where we have incoming and outgoing transactions which are working on the bridge. The next things are gas, ESDT as gas token. So you will be able to set ESDT as a gas token. And so you will be able to set wrapped EGLD for the gas token in case you want to run on EGLD. And then we are going to build all the contracts for the validators, the staking, the slashing, and everything around it to serve the whole ecosystem in this way. If you have any more questions, feel free to add those in Agora, let's say. We created a channel for sovereign developers as well, especially on Slack, and we share there more information, which is open channel, and then we can discuss more about how such things should look like because everybody will have their own specialty. There were some questions here with Lucid lately. Yes, sovereign shards can run as a private chain as well, completely with his own private peer-to-peer, no information out, and still be connected to the main chain through the incoming and outgoing transactions. That was one of the questions. And not necessarily like side chains, but with staking phase 4 integrated into the sovereign chains, they will be delegated proof of stake as well.
Okay. Moving along, the question is, can you provide more detailed information about the definition of the best top up in the auction list as outlined in the draft? I think she's referring to Set's infographic.
The best top up is the top up that will qualify you in the first 320 nodes.
3,200 nodes.
No, I mean 320 nodes because those would be
For the auction, you mean? Right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. The next question is the following. During the previous validator call, there was a discussion about the number of nodes per staking provider. When is the next scheduled discussion with validators regarding this matter? The number of nodes per staking provider. And there are many questions with this topic. Like how will we ensure big staking providers reduce their nodes number smoothly but continuously, and also on the number of nodes, the team should not decide the limit of existing staking provider, or if a limit is set, there should be a massive debate on these values. A consensus should be reached. So the topic to be discussed is actually, should there be a limit for the number of nodes in staking phase 4, apart from the limit of top up that is obviously enforced. So let's say if you have one node and you have 100 e-gold top up, you have 2,600 e-gold, and you are eligible. Once you get to the waiting list, you get shuffled out. You will probably stay there forever unless you add more e-gold to reach the network average. So apart from that, do we set a limit for staking providers to add nodes in staking phase 4?
I think this will be some of the longest, so longer thing to discuss. First, we have to see about how things are happening on other ecosystems. And sadly, what we see that there is some kind of tend towards centralization. We see this in Ethereum, we see this in Bitcoin, and we see it in other ecosystems as well. And the whole debate around it is that we should have more providers from all around the world, and every provider to give value into the ecosystem, and by this the pie will go bigger, and not necessarily that there are 10 providers who are taking out the bigger part of the pie. So there are two things in this regards. The first thing is that what we want to introduce is a maximum number of nodes which a staking provider can register. And this maximum number of nodes it doesn't mean from staking phase 4 that those who are on top of those number of nodes will have their nodes deactivated. No, we cannot do that, and we don't see that fit. But it is a thing through which we can, let's say, somehow show a message for all the providers that we are thinking really seriously about decentralization. We know that this kind of system can be gamed. You can launch any kinds of system, more staking providers, or split your staking provider. We see this on other ecosystems, but this is actually not good for the overall or the greater good of the ecosystem. So right now we are thinking about a number like 50 for the max number of nodes. I know that a few providers, like 15 providers of the list, will be impacted by this in a sense that they will not be able to grow bigger, but they can grow the whole pie bigger by helping others to build new stuff and to create more things, and help all the smaller ones to get to get better and bigger in their processes, in their systems. So that's one of the things why introducing such kind of maximum number is not the only thing we have to do in order to ensure decentralization. Decentralization has to come from an education. It has to come from each of every one of you, every validator out here, to understand what is better for the ecosystem, and to understand that we need more and more staking providers from all around the world, as we do not want to get into sort of things like Bitcoin and Ethereum right now with all the KYC nodes and everything. I do not know how much of you have read about, but more than 50% of the Ethereum nodes are processing only KYC transactions and stuff like that. It's not necessarily a good thing for the whole ecosystem, and we see that it can happen in all around the world, not only in US. Uh, and we have to somehow be idealistic. And the first number 32 was because of like having limiting to 1% the growth for the number of nodes in the ecosystem. We can take it up a little bit, and that's why like number 50 got into this direction. But I said that this is only the first step, as right now there might be a fear for all the small staking providers that once staking phase 4 starts, all the bigger ones can create more. So it's just you can create more because you have more funds, the bigger ones, and you can just get from the existing slice a bigger part of that slice. But we have to somehow create this or make the slice in sense bigger. So this is the first step. But after that, it's all about education and about decentralization and about things around it to help to reach those goals or those general goals we want with the ecosystem. I think Lucian wanted to add something. So
Yeah, yeah. I see some of the questions that basically are pretty much a zero sum, such that you could basically create a new delegation, liquid staking, whatever, and then deploy unlimited accounts. Yeah, you could do that for NFTs actually to issue a collection and then fake the numbers. You can do basically this kind of stuff on any particular reason. The point here is the framework itself should provide a guideline towards a more robust network and a more effective way of collaborating. Yeah, I wish I actually my neighbor would never, just to restate this, I wish my neighbor would never cross the line and not uh, go into my garden without putting a fine line, a visible one, which is just basic. He can still go against it. Of course, at any point of time, he might be able to jump it. Of course, that's common. That's the reality. However, this is some sort of a guidance where it should help us towards a more robust and effective network. And of course, there are two forces. There are forces that are building and building for the greater good, and there are forces that are taking. And then, of course, if we can join forces in this kind of journey, then basically it should not be, yes, can I trick you in any way that I can bypass and take all the entire pie? Yes, pretty much all the time you will be able to a certain degree until enough people, enough good people that cares and understand the fundamentals of any security protocol and respect that will push it and push for the greater good and will manage to kind of keep those forces in place. So I think yes, most of the time you can go the other way around, and I think that's unfortunately a general problem without KYC, as Robert mentioned. Unfortunately, until we have provable accounts specific with whitelisted individuals or companies or businesses, which I think we don't want, and is not helping this kind of stuff, we should work together and we should be very vocal towards the ones that are actually bypassing and putting a threat against the protocol. I think this is up. The question is up until which point you'll see this as a fun fact or a play, and where should be a threat to the protocol. Where, for example, in Ethereum, yeah, they're pretty. For example, the liquid staking protocol is currently a threat and has become from a utility point to an existential threat to the protocol, such that, for example, Vitalik is coming up and proposing to implement this at the protocol level. So yeah, we'll see this kind of competition. Yes, they could and could easily just increase their stake to bypass the security. But at the end, is this helping Ethereum or any other protocol for the greater good? I don't think so. Growing this even bigger or bypassing some of the thresholds will just defeat the purpose of growing an ecosystem. I hope I'm not too pushy on this, but I do believe that this is very, very. I cannot stress how much I care and how much effort do we put in, and how it feels from every time that you can bypass. Yeah, I could bypass pretty much most of the laws, but does it help? No. Okay. I think I'm sure maybe if Eddie you want to guide maybe a bit the discussion, we'll definitely look. I'm looking forward to elaborate even more, at least to stress this, given that there are many of us that are putting day in and out. And thinking for the greater good, we are definitely here to also incorporate as much as possible of the feedback that we consider that yeah, that we can
I think
consider
we
for.
can. I think you can work towards a number because
Definitely.
Sorry, just one thing, Lucian. I think the foundation will be the first from the big ones to reduce more and more the nodes in order to
That's
enhance
the
the
point.
security. And that's the point. So we will show the way and or discuss
Yeah.
about these things, and
So
this will be a process.
definitely, maybe to lay out maybe the further plans of how this should happen. So first, I think the number is not fixed, so the number should be first proposed. We're kind of 2 months away from going into testing, and I cannot stress how much we want to have everybody on board and find this. I think to quote Adrian, this magic number, which feels right for most of the people, or the and at the same time for the greater good of the protocol. So this is basically the framework, or the goal of today's discussion, not to impose anything, but rather try to explore where the sweet spot is. Moving forward, once we have this the specs, once we have the this number more elaborated on the reasonings behind it, then and we agree on the most of the parameters, then we should apply this kind of framework in place, and then the foundation should go towards zero operating nodes. So this should be, as soon as we have this, we will try to resume the unstaking process, the reduction of the weight from the foundation, from the protocol. So once we have this, then it should be a healthier growth, more organic around the entire protocol, and a more healthier distribution among the stake that is being carried by the foundational nodes. And of course, this is not what I also want to say, that this is not taken for granted. The stake should not be taken for granted, especially if the efforts from the operators are not aligned. Then why would if people do follow the network growth, then this is not something that, okay, I want that pie belongs to me. No, that pie belongs to nobody first, unless the delegator do resonate with the vision of the entire growth of the protocol. I think that's also very interesting point, that the effort should be continuously done towards that, um, such that more and more people will provide this kind of support, especially given this context.
Right. What I'm hearing is that more nodes will become available with stake in phase 4, and more stake will be moving from the legacy delegations to other staking providers. And from what you guys have shared, the foundation would not really like for these nodes and this stake to pile up on the top validators, on the top staking providers, because this would not be healthy. So there were some questions about smaller staking providers, and the foundation, I know they're actively trying to grow the staking providers, but of course this is a job that each of us should do on a constant basis. Um, However, we do need to get to a number. So I think maybe it's an unfair game because I'm the only one up here and the team, and the rest of you guys either don't want to talk, or I don't know, your bikes are off. You're welcome to come up to stage, and we can talk about this in a civilized manner, but probably consensus will not be reached here today. So Lucian mentioned that Agora will have a post on staking phase 4, so that's maybe the perfect place to come up with numbers, and not just numbers, but also arguments. Because I can say, okay, I think it should be 400 nodes per staking provider because I like 400. But what are the arguments behind that? So if more of us contribute and we have all the
I
information there, we can make an informed decision.
Definitely. If I may jump in again, I'm willing here to commit to a new initiative, Eddie. I do believe if I'm thinking back at the days where I and we had more times, a lot more times to stay focused with the validators, a lot more people were from my perspective way closer and try to replicate what our values were in order to be broadcasted or brought up in several threads such that people will delegate towards. I do believe there are two initiatives here that should be taken. One, um, I want personally to help with part of my funds that I own to help the small staking providers that are aligned with the protocol's needs, such as, for example, people that have been sending us logs, even alerts, stuff that are contributing to the greater good or general common good of the network. And I think most of the core team will pretty much at least resonate with my idea, such that those are the people that should be encouraged and should be taking further. So once making sure that there's a just to recap, making sure that there's a framework, general broader framework, such that none of us would be able to just conquer or take over the entire pie. Secondly, then having for the smaller ones a part where we do not care only about one part of the pie or our own stake and how we bypass, then but rather how once now that there's a general broader framework, how do we encourage or support the smaller ones that are still willing to put effort and do this and support and work with us towards the development of the protocol and the robustness of the network. So with that in mind, I do believe that that should definitely will follow. Eddie, if you can, I'm just putting some more pressure on you this time. If you can at least try to build up the cases around the provider that you think need a support. I'll try to see what we can do from our community team inside to have maybe uh, a stage where we speak good and know make obvious who should be supported and how should be supported and how they are still contributed to this specific aspect as duty on being validator as in a proof of stake uh, yeah proof of stake protocol. So if I think if that's fine, I think that should uh, be replicated and should be copied by as an initiative wherever you see that is value added, then that's basically what should be rewarded and supported at any way. Yeah,
Actually,
curious.
this is a good common. This is a good practice that other blockchains are having. You know, the foundation supports uh, staking providers that meets certain criteria. So this doesn't have to be a numbers criteria, but of course it can be evaluated case by case, and it's really a great
Definitely.
initiative. So thank you, Lucian, for that. Uh, I
Uh,
do expect a
so
lot,
I
lot
would
of lobby to be taken with me in the next days, but we'll take it one.
definitely that's part of the game. I do believe that Eddie could still represent the forces of the community pretty straightforward. I trust him or know him for a very long time. And with respect to that, today I'm not speaking I was not speaking from the foundation perspective. I was speaking firstly by myself, which yes, once everything is agreed and there's a flaw on that a streamlined process, then I will definitely lobby and push this to the foundation discussion to be part of the growth initiatives inside MultiversX. So I think that
With
covers
you on
and
our
sets us
side,
up.
I have no doubt it will be a massive success. Okay.
It always was. It was always was, Eddie.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. I have more questions. Um, one of the validators said more community meetups. I believe that the ambassador program will help bootstrapping this. Do you guys have anything to announce about more community meetups?
Yes, yes. So first, I wanted to start this again, same as most of the initiatives that I are community driven or community facing for way too long, for more than 1 year. I guess I wanted to start this program. It just got sabotaged by many other threads, many other discussions that takes a lot of our energy, unfortunately. However, I'm very happy whenever we manage or someone manages to kickstart this kind of initiative. And then there were already parts of where developers took the initiative, just to give some of the insights, where they were already having a roadmap on their own, and then funny or good enough that basically both teams joined forces even on a broader mission. I let Mihai I see joined the stage again. I just know how much I wanted to do this. I let maybe Mihai first to share the roadmap without taking the the entire stage on this one.
Yeah, thank you, Lucian. So, as we already talked yesterday about the meetups, as you probably already know, we had one last week in Bucharest. How Lucian said, this was a planned initiative by one of our developers, and then the communications and developer relations team joined forces, and we had quite a successful meetup there. The very next one is going to happen tomorrow in Cluj, and there is going to be another one next week as well, unfortunately in Romania. But starting next year, with January, we are going to host the meetups, as I already said, in the entire world. We are starting with Germany in January, and then we will go to France, Italy, Spain, and we will continue. But this does not mean we are going to have only one meetup per month. We can host several meetups in the same month. The purpose of having the first meetups organized by us is the fact that we are also announcing the ambassadors program, and basically we are trying to introduce you to what being an ambassador means, what type of ambassador you can become, and I believe that starting with next month in December, we are also going to launch um, the web page, so the landing page for the ambassador program, so everybody can apply, and then as you already know, we can support you as ambassadors to organize meetups, and not only you just have to raise the flag, because I've seen the the team saying about flags. Raise the flag that you want to host a meetup, and we will contact you and see how we can support on organizing the meetup wherever. Ireland, Scotland, UK, so the entire UK. Yeah.
I do see here some names. I'll trust myself. Especially, I wanted to reach out to several of the guys here in the chat to help me host a developer meetup. Actually, even more harder targeted one, such as, for example, I see Mika P from Wien. I know definitely Austria is a very special place to and close actually on our road to Germany, France, and so forth. So I'm really looking forward to take over. Oh, I see already flags coming up. Let's see how we can incorporate this, Mihai, and get things going. But yeah, maybe a tentative road plan would be first to seed those places with a frame, lay down a framework, and then repeat that kind of events once the plans are straightforward to be executed.
Cool stuff. So we
Did-
have Cluj as the next one. Maybe some alpha on the one after Cluj in Romania, if possible. If not,
Yes.
No. The most beautiful Christmas market in Romania.
uh-oh. Okay, you guys will have to do some googling to see where Craiova. Good one. Right. I have a question. Not actually a question. Maybe asking about future plans with regards to cross-chain integration and bridge to legacy finance. Not really, or
So
maybe I don't know.
what was the question? Sorry, if you can repeat it one more time
Future
just to.
future plans with regard to cross-chain integrations and bridge to legacy finance.
I this if you have a bit more context, what if we can define what legacy finance means, but
I
I
would say
think with
fiat. I would say fiat. So financial services with fiat, maybe with the
yeah.
export
So
exemption or
so I would try to stick as much as possible to core infrastructure in this call, if possible, or activities related to the core infrastructure where core infrastructure such as validators, protocol updates, specifics towards that direction. Maybe with respect to bridges, I do believe that we do have an update on that end that should be deployed, I think, even later today on testnet. I think, yeah, before the end of the day, I had a promise that it should be out, and then the upcoming days might be coming on test and public testnet and so forth, which should allow cross chain smart contract calls. For example, maybe I let Robert, if you want to touch or elaborate anything on that specific, maybe very briefly. However, it's still not directly related to the protocol development.
On the bridge, we have an ongoing integration with Axelar, which, according to plans again, should be released on Q1, but it depends on a lot of things. Q1 2024. So yeah, I know it's recorded. We will try it. and and on the other hand, we are actually working on improving our own version of the bridge in order to support cross-chain smart contract execution as well. It is going well. So the PRs were for the first part of the code was ready. First reviews were done. I think next week we will have our first tests for like bigger set of tests between public networks, because here you have to make a big setup on Gerli and on MultiversX testnet and all kinds of things. But we are pretty far ahead with that architectural change as well. Plus, on that bridge, you will have mint and burn possibilities. So complete support for tokens which are originating on MultiversX and want to go into the other chain. So full support for that as well. But let's bring more liquidity in the ecosystem.
Awesome.
cool.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Maybe Eddie, I'll take over, and then if I'm allowed, I would see I see the question with the related to consensus V2. Maybe I'll if I'm allowed, given that I don't want to go into other products that are not related to the protocol too much, and try to use this time for this specific topic. I'll add maybe or invite Adi if he wants to describe a bit the roadmap towards the consensus V2 implementation and the specific of maybe of that.
Yeah, for those there are multiple steps. So in fact, for the first stage for consensus V2 is already working for the sovereign chains. So we already have it in a feature branch that could be integrated on the protocol as well. There are several other steps we are working on, and the work has already been started with what I announced also at X Day with equivalent messages, equivalent proofs. That part is ongoing. With the finality optimizations, partially it's done. The increase of consensus size to 400, that is also done. Yeah, so we have worked in different stages for these different features that will come. We still need a bit more time for that. I know part of it is planned for 1.8, so the release immediately after staking phase 4. We'll see how much of it we manage to push into that release, and if we need to split it into two releases. I think next week we planned a big bang session to lay out the next milestones we want to focus our energy on, and we'll see exactly how we manage to split the efforts and how the roadmap will look afterwards.
One of the things I wanted to add here, as there were some of the questions, the protocol team and actually all those of us and the VM team is actually growing. So no effort is taken out from the protocol team to go into other products, but it's the full focus for that one. But all these new features are actually like on a next level on a lot of things, from research, from code, for everything. And we try our best to push as much as possible, but it's like you can call blockchain as a nuclear technology. Like you don't want to make any mistakes there. So we are pretty we want to have everything tested, secured, and everything around it. So yes, the protocol team is doing a lot and lot of stuff, and the VM as well. And all focus is on to release better and better versions for it. And as we have to, let's say, it's not only necessarily anymore about like only transactions processing, but you have a lot for the smart contract and the developers as well. So we have to provide APIs, tools, and everything around it to create an ecosystem which is booming.
Cool stuff. Maybe I would build on this with a part of a questions. A question. The guy says, I would like the finality between the shards to become consistent. Right now, intra shard takes more than 30 seconds, and technically, reading the shard 2 mempool could allow a shard 1 bot to front run a trade. With perps coming and more trading dApps, this is a real issue. We might be MEV resistant, but with 6 seconds finality on the same shard and 30 intra shard brings a real threat, in my opinion.
Yeah, regarding this, I think the changes we're working on for the finality to push the block times even to 1 second, which I think 1 year ago we couldn't even think about it, much less start working on it. Making good progress on reducing all these times, and as the times will reduce, the difference or the apparent difference between what happens in intra-shard operations versus what happens in cross-shard operation will seem much less significant. So it will become much closer in time, in execution time. Yeah, also for the MEV, we are MEV resistant. We will be even more resistant. There is some change which is in progress for moving from the previous randomness to the current randomness for sorting transactions. Our let's say front-running protection mechanism that is built in the protocol. Yeah, this is also getting an upgrade. Yeah, so there are also on that front some updates.
Cool. Another question.
I do believe that maybe just sorry to add even more on this. The problem has been existing and it still has been ever since the inception of the blockchain. Blockchains have existed. I do believe that given that indeed it is a tough problem that should be considered, and it is considered and so forth, the solutions are not overnight, could not come overnight, and it is a progressive or a progressive roadmap towards achieving this kind of technology with many iterations, with small steps, all compounding a value towards that. And I do believe that maybe it is worth looking at some other architectures, and if there are any specific proposals how this should be improved or can be improved with respect to the technical side as well. We're more than happy to debate or explore the paths that you guys have seen being executed, not only philosophically but also practically solving this kind of issue. And I will just say this one. Just doing it ourselves, building the protocol, is not a considerable path of solving this. So just to put the at the opposite of solving this kind of problem, the counter option would have been build it in the protocol and make everybody doing it such that is not a problem anymore. So, and distribute the rewards. Yes, that might be a path. I don't specifically want to go this path or feel that is the most reasonable one. We're more than happy. Please reach out with some very good points that you think are worth exploring, and more than happy to go that path.
Indeed, others go this path. It's not a bug; it's a feature. I'm not gonna name anybody. Okay.
Yeah, no need,
Uh,
not
Another question: if we don't meet the transaction volumes to sustain decent returns, what can be done to keep validators from leaving?
I don't believe that, maybe just to touch on this, I don't believe that uh, many have left in practice. Uh, in general, I do believe that things are progressing, and of course, it's kind of a general problem if the society would not solve the self-sustainability or unlimited resourceness for Earth. Well, the Earth will go bust in X years. In practice, it seems like things are progressing. Definitely, we should focus on making the pie bigger, I think, as we discussed it X day. And as you will see, actually, there are more validators coming to the chain, and very reputable ones. So it's, yes, a matter of profitability. In reality, actually, looking at the specifics of the hardware requirements of a multi-sig to be ran on MultiversX are I'm discharging or pretty much being considering disrespectful of the cost given the new updates. That it's kind of, yes, we can optimize very much or try to debate now. Yeah, if $100 can be generated per month for this kind of machines. Yes, I do believe, but rather, how can we focus? How can we focus on getting even more traction, more adoption on chain? Would be a brighter version of the statement that where we need to focus. I hope it makes sense.
I think
Does
one of the new narratives, and we were a little bit discussing inside, it will be to have also models with the state rent, in which actually those who are building applications will pay a set of state rent for the validators. So I don't believe that it will be the users. Yes, users will pay indirectly towards their that protocol usage because they will pay for some kind of fees when they use all those products, but actually it will be the products like we have it on Google Cloud when you are launching your own website or Amazon Web Services or stuff like that. So for, let's say, for a very, very forward future, I think this will be a new, let's say, an additional revenue model for the validators with the introduction of state rent, which will come at one point. So there will be other type of money streams for the validators in order to them to be sustainable.
Definitely. Maybe I'm not sure if it is well known what state rent is. If you think it's helpful for the discussion, Eddie, we can definitely try to explain a bit, define the problem, and so forth. But yeah, that's very
it's actually only to pay for the active storage you use from the validators, like you pay for your own storage on any cloud service, in
yeah,
a super simplistic way.
that it's very much correct
I
and
think
very straightforward.
I summarized pretty much all of the questions. I tried to combine them and not read one by one I got from you guys. So at this point, we have 1 hour and a half almost. So I'm going to ask if there are any more questions to simply request to join the stage and ask it directly. So maybe leave the next minute for that, or if anybody wants to request now. If your question has been missed, if you gave me some feedback and I missed to ask the question in here, please feel free to raise your hand right now, and I will be happy to get you on the stage.
I see a funny question. What if the servers were running flawless and there are no logs to be sent to us? This is a very good question. I like it. Uh, I do believe
We
that
will
there.
disable the logs. We will disable the logs. Surely.
No, I do believe that is a very good one. Just read it, trying to scroll. There are many. So there are other activities that we want to have, and are very helpful. If I remember, for example, there were times where Dr. Delphi had some bots. Some of the bots that were monitoring the entire BLS keys and sending notification, generally speaking, for the entire community. Whenever some of the nodes were going down, also other parts were explaining and defining, for example, trying to contribute to the and incentivize the community to participate in your in the governance part for the broader community would be again, and educate them a lot. There are initiatives, for example, from Carpathian Stake, I do remember, that were describing in a very nice and
I
professional
love
way.
their videos. I love their videos. They're
Me, me
short
too.
and sharp.
Exactly the point. What I was trying. So there are many efforts that each of the all validators have been contributing, each for the greater good of the protocol. Where we still see, and what I want to say, that many of those initiatives are visible and should be visible to a certain degree, or at least synced with the broader community, such that they are being appreciated. So even if we don't see them, at least it should be very useful to have some sort of an overview of the efforts each of us how they are contributing towards this kind of stuff. There are education in terms of Nakamoto, given the new changes. For example, it would be very important to try to get on board the broader community. There are tools, for example, that are still missing from my point of view that have not been deployed or developed. For example, I'm still looking, maybe just to give some more context, I'm still looking for some of the tools ever since Genesis that would automatically redelegate X amount. So we'll pre-sign a transaction, we'll hold it in a mempool or in a pool for X amount of time, pre-signed, which allows only the redelegation, and the optimum point of time will just drop that. There are tools that are missing. For example, there are people saying that, hey, this kind of key should have been active or uh, inactive for X amount of time, where the protocol might claim that, or the protocol might not follow the specs or intuitively. Well, this kind of tools are tools that could be programmatically very well and helpful to help us point or help the community help build a case towards something that should be improved. um, this kind of stuff is something that I'm looking for. There were tools, for example, back in the day, some Grafana dashboards, I think from the Easy to Stake, where they were gathering the values from heartbeat and try to map all the validators over a bigger graph or a dashboard, showcasing uh, some of the some of the progress. Maybe it would be very interesting to have some sort of a transparency towards the rewards distribution or rewards collection uh, among. So I'm just curious. There are many ways that we should look at and should be able to measure and try to contribute, not only by logs. Definitely logs and this kind of stuff is the first one that each of us should do. I see that the discussion is being taken in the written form. So, Eddie, if you want to guide us,
Right. Actually,
from there.
I would have liked for somebody else to join the stage, at least one person, you know. So if there's one volunteer, before we wrap this up, going once, going twice. Okay, we have Levi. Thank you, man. I think he's on the stage. He's on the stage.
Hello.
Hey, good to have you here.
Hey, good to have you here. Yeah. Okay. I'm Levi, and I believe most of us here know me. Okay. What I just want to add to the discussion is this this line of the Nakamoto coefficients you're talking about, decentralizing the network and all of that. I'm building a platform that I think would help the validator community. You understand? So when we speak about and maybe adding a hard limit on the number of nodes a particular staking provider would provide, I think it might, in my own opinion, hurt decentralization in a certain way, because the tool I'm building is something that would gather a pool of a pool of EGLD, then allow different individuals that maybe they are passionate about running a validator node to support the network and all of it, but they don't know how to maybe get stakes towards their validator nodes and all. So that's to gather a pool of EGLD. Then there'll be a voting process where the delegators will now vote on what validator they want to power the network and all of it. So I think based on what I'm working on and all the rest of it, so I feel maybe putting a hard limit on a particular staking provider might hurt this kind of system. So that's just my take about this particular issue.
I'm really curious to
I'm really
see
curious to see
your tool actually on the test net. You know, see what it does, play around with it. So great stuff. You know, any contribution is welcome. Anybody else would like to join the stage, or do we call this a day or a night? I did have a we did have a proposition in an earlier call today to have a battle of nodes, stage 4, staking phase 4 battle of nodes. You know, where we try to mimic the mainnet scenario and see where that goes. You know, that would be a really fun thing to do. I'm sure the team will corroborate this
It
idea.
would be
Let-
fun. It would be fun, but yeah, it would also take a bit of time for us to stage this. Not sure if now is the best moment.
No,
We
not
have
now.
to
It's
discuss.
probably next year,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I would assume next year. If we push it, it will solve itself. No, we can definitely do it. I've seen a lot of discussion on this theme as well, and I think it would be a good a fun event even.
That's really cool. I see a question in the chat from Lucid. Very good one. Any plans for disaster recovery scenarios, like specific edge case? When some nodes are shot, let's say we go below the network minimum.
Yeah. So I do believe maybe I'll invite the guys. Definitely yes. Uh, there has been many efforts and countless nights developing tooling around this kind of stuff, such as even hard forks, tooling around state reverse if needed, in worst case. Such like epoch activation flags, for example, are even part of that end. I let maybe I would say even if it is disaster recovery, it should be in a very light or positive way seen this kind of efforts to be prepared of. And yes, and maybe if we, Julian or Adi, if you guys want to touch a bit on the previous efforts on that end and how evolved actually from the first version, second version, maybe briefly on that would be very interesting as well.
Of course, Lucian. I will start. Actually, just to remind you, we had two disaster recoveries on the DevNet, on the old DevNet that we shut down in the beginning of November. We actually managed to do two disaster recoveries in which the shards proposed blocks that were beyond repair and reconciliation, and the shards actually split. Yeah, those were some extreme edge cases due to our bad setup. We started DevNet quite small on low grade machines. We've learned that lesson because we've struggled to repair the DevNet actually. Um, yeah, what Lucian said, we have some work around the node to help disaster recovery in case something really bad happens. We don't want that to happen. Don't want to revert blocks, of course, but essentially the chain should always be healthy and should always propose blocks. And yeah, that's about it. We will find several other ways on which, even if we have to reverse a lot of blocks, those executed transactions will still be executed in the same way on the bed fork. That is still ongoing, is in research phase, to be honest. And yeah, right now we have the possibility to just cut off the old fork and restore the chain and um, work on the new fork. Even though, just remember, if something very bad goes wrong, the chain will automatically suspend transaction execution after 50 rounds. So in 50 rounds, if something really bad happens to a shard and do not notarize meta chain, or the meta chain do not notarize a shard because of a bug or a weird edge case, the transaction execution actually is halted, and just to help the recovery. So that will almost surely will help us for the disaster recovery process. If Adi want to add something.
Yeah, so while we built the entire system, we've put into it a lot of safety mechanisms, such that any sort of dangerous scenarios is either cannot happen, or we have some protection against them. As Julian mentioned, there's this stuck shard mechanism. There's a global stuck mechanism as well. There are some mechanisms where the level of the block or how much the block is filled with gas is also controlled depending on the situation. So we've built a lot of safety mechanisms inside the protocol. And as Julian mentioned, we even had almost semi-automated hard forking mechanism built inside the protocol that we could, in case we need it at some point, we could make use of. We found out that that mechanism was a bit too complex, and because it was a bit too complex, it got left a bit behind with the upgrades. So we managed to work around that, and we found a much more streamlined mechanism, which Julian also presented what it's able to do. So we are able to recover from most of these situations easily. We've already had two trials on the DevNet where we tested it. Now, what Julian mentioned is even, let's say, more advanced disaster recovery mechanism, which is still in research phase, and none of the existing protocols have such a mechanism working. So yeah, we have thought about all this stuff, and of course, if there are other suggestions that we didn't think of, you are free to come with proposals. We'll definitely take a look and yeah, work on those. As Lucian mentioned, security is first. We do not want anything to happen to the security of the chain, because it will impact also economically. It will impact in all sort of ways. So yeah, security is first. Then after that, we can bring any sort of features if they are relevant and they make sense.
Thank you very much. I think it's about time we wrap this up, right? I see no further questions. So as we draw this session to a close, I honestly want to say thank you to all the validators that joined us today and all the team members. Your dedication and active participation, it's really what fuels the growth and success of MultiversX. And the insights that we discussed today are really invaluable. It's not just our current efforts, but they're actually building blocks, for future endeavors. And each of you plays a pivotal role in this ecosystem, and your commitment to adding value, it doesn't go unnoticed. You've seen Lucian's initiatives, right? So I really look forward to seeing contributions on Agora on the staking phase 4 post that will be soon created. And let's keep this momentum going, continue to innovate, build, and our collective efforts will grow the network and make it more sustainable and strong. So every line of code, every successful transaction, every constructive feedback contributes to a stronger and more robust MultiversX. So let's carry this collaborative spirit forward and make sure that our next meeting is also filled with new achievements and new milestones and staking phase 4 maybe. Thank you all again. Keep building, keep innovating, and let's shape the future of blockchain together.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot, Eddie.
Thank you.
Talk to you
Have a
soon.
nice
Bye-bye.
day. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.